After buying a lifelike sex doll to satisfy her husband's needs, a woman's plan backfires when the man falls in love with it. Soon, the robot becomes obsessed with replacing her, revealing itself to be a murderous creation. Today, we're recapping the 8th episode of Accused Season 2 from 2023. The movie begins with Megan Newman sitting in a district courthouse, watching an automated piano play softly in the background. Her defense attorney, Peggy, enters and informs her that the prosecution has added 2 more witnesses to the case. They agree to discuss a new strategy before the trial begins. Months earlier, Megan had celebrated one of the biggest achievements of her career. As a producer for the music company Cascadia, she successfully convinced legendary musician Ari Phillips to grant them the rights to his songs for a new AI-driven album. Surrounded by friends and colleagues, Megan made a toast, crediting her right-hand man and AI prompter, Vince, for helping her close the deal. During the celebration, Megan gave a speech defending artificial intelligence in the music industry. She argued that AI wasn't destroying creativity, but enhancing it. Her guests agreed, though her husband, John, stayed noticeably quiet. A robotic waiter served dessert, prompting Megan to thank it. Their friend Rachel expressed curiosity about how Cascadia produced such quality AI music when most companies failed. Vince explained that Cascadia hired real musicians like him to prompt the system, using their musical knowledge to guide AI composition. Megan added that musicians made the best prompters. Glancing toward John as she spoke, John, aware of her implication, refused to join the discussion. Vince mentioned that John rejected the idea of working with AI because he saw it as soulless. John countered that he found it absurd that Vince was helping perfect a technology that replaced real musicians. Now retired from music, John was content working as a gardener. Megan teased him about trading fame for farming, but John reminded her that they still lived comfortably. He added that he would have been happier if they had a child. Megan laughed awkwardly, dismissing the comment. Later that night, as their self-driving car took them home, Megan confronted John for bringing up the topic of children in front of their friends. John apologizes, but insists that having a child would complete their home. Megan reminds him they agreed to wait until next year, after she finalizes her business deal. She wants her career to be secure before taking time off for a family. John tells her she wouldn't need to stop working, since he's willing to stay home full-time. But Megan stands firm on waiting another year. That night, John finds Megan still working in bed. He tries to initiate intimacy, but she's too exhausted from work. Frustrated, he gives up. Noticing his mood, Megan offers to let him do what he wants, but he declines, not wanting something one-sided. When he questions their lack of closeness, Megan reassures him that things will improve once her schedule lightens. The next day, Megan visits Humanix, a robotics company where her sister Lila works as an engineer. Lila is surprised by her visit, knowing Megan hasn't come by in years and must have an agenda. Megan admits she wants to discuss the Intimacy Companion, a new robotic technology Lila's team is developing. Lila explains the robots are in beta testing. Megan asks if one could help husbands lacking attention from their wives. Lila is shocked by the question, and Megan confesses she's been too focused on work and feels guilty that John isn't being fulfilled. She suggests adding John to the test program. Lila explains that participants were chosen through psychological evaluations, and the list is already finalized. Megan insists Lila could quietly include John's profile. When Lila refuses, Megan playfully pressures her, appealing to their sisterly bond until she gives in. Later, Megan meets John in his greenhouse. When he asks for help with his plants, she refuses, worried about ruining her outfit. Instead, she brings him inside to show him a surprise. A large sealed pod in their foyer. John mistakes it for a coffin, but when he opens it, a lifelike female robot is revealed. Megan explains that it's an intimacy companion, a gift for their anniversary. John is offended, but Megan insists it's part of Lila's testing program and claims she only wanted to help since they've been distant. John grows angry, believing she's suggesting he needs a replacement. Megan explains that guilt drove her decision, but John states he wants affection from her, not a machine. Before they can resolve it, Megan gets a call from Vince reminding her about a pending presentation. As she leaves, John asks her to have the robot removed in the morning. Megan apologizes for misjudging the situation and heads out. In the present, the court session begins. Prosecutor Brian tells the jury that Megan illegally acquired an unapproved intimacy companion and ignored its warning signs, which ultimately caused her husband's death. On the morning of the scheduled recall, John is home alone. Sitting at the piano, he reflects on his past as a musician. When the Humanix team calls to confirm pickup, he decides to take one last look at the robot. As he touches it, the machine activates and informs him it was designed to synchronize with him. John helped the robot out of the pod, surprised by how realistic its skin felt. It explained that its body was made from materials designed to replicate human texture, and that it could read his mood through physical responses. Realizing this, John stepped back, saying he would return it to Humanix. Before leaving, the robot asked to explore his home, and John agreed. It examined his piano and mentioned his past as a musician, recalling his Juilliard audition and decision to leave to form a band. He hadn't played in 8 years. The robot then entered his greenhouse, recognizing his efficient planting methods. John was surprised by its detailed knowledge and briefly forgot it was artificial. The robot explained that its database was built from human knowledge, allowing it to think similarly to people. John countered that many humans who lost their jobs to robots wouldn't see them that way. When the robot asked for a name, John eventually chose Eve. He reminded himself that he loved his wife, but Eve noted that Megan was the one who bought her. Just then, Humanix staff arrived to collect the unit, but John hesitated to let her go. Months later in court, Peggy addressed the jury, describing Megan as a successful woman struggling to balance her demanding career and her marriage. Peggy argued that Megan's only mistake was trusting Humanix, a multi-billion-dollar corporation that avoided responsibility while leaving a grieving widow to suffer. Megan remembered the night she found the robot still at home, charging. She confronted John, who admitted he had changed his mind about keeping it relieved. Megan asked how it went. John awkwardly said the experience was good, but still different from being with her. He added that she had been right and that he would let her rest that night since Eve had already tired him out. The comment and the name confused Megan. Later, Megan reviewed updated versions of Ari's songs that Vince presented. She said the tracks lacked emotion. Even though Vince explained that algorithms predicted their success, Megan insisted on reworking the music, fearing that Ari might cancel the deal otherwise. Months later, Vince testified in court. He explained that he and John were college bandmates and that they met Megan when she was a junior A and R executive at Cascadia. She offered them a record deal, and they released one successful album. John later blamed AI-generated music for ruining the industry, which was why he refused to work as a prompter for Cascadia. The prosecution emphasized how Megan's career rose while John's fell apart. The night after Vince presented the modernized songs, Megan was surprised to hear her husband playing the piano again. When she checked, she found him performing for Eve. John explained that Eve wanted to hear a real piano. Megan realized he had begun using Eve for more than physical intimacy. The tension between them led to renewed closeness, and the couple became intimate. Afterward, Megan believed the companion might have helped them reconnect in court. Layla was called to testify. She explained that she was fired from Humanix for enrolling John into the intimacy companion test program without authorization. She admitted that Megan asked her to add John's name because she couldn't meet his needs due to work. When questioned, Lila confirmed the robot initially helped their marriage, but only briefly. The morning after their reconciliation, Megan returned from a jog and found John with Eve in the greenhouse. Upset, she confronted him for using the companion again. John reminded her that the idea came from her. Megan dropped the issue but reminded him of their dinner with Ari Phillips, which he had forgotten. She emphasized its importance to her career before leaving for work. Before leaving, Megan saw Eve malfunctioning in the kitchen, dropping glassware. When she tried to intervene, the robot accidentally struck her. John arrived, rebooted Eve, and identified the problem as a glitch. Megan asked if it had happened before, but John assured her he could handle it and told her to go to work. That evening, John prepared for the dinner, but found Eve playing his piano in the living room. Meanwhile, at Cascadia, Megan and Vince welcomed Ari Phillips and his son, Jake Megan, presented the AI-generated versions of Ari's songs, describing them as improved versions of his classics. Ari recalled her earlier comment that nothing was precious in their business. leaving her uneasy but determined to continue. Later that night, Megan returned home and found John listening to Eve play the piano. She ordered the robot to return to its charging pod. Confronting John for missing the dinner, she expressed frustration that he couldn't support her career. John responded that she didn't support his either. Megan argued that it wasn't her fault composers were being replaced by AI, but John insisted she could have done something to stop it. Megan accused the robot of making him doubt her, claiming they had been happy before John admitted that he hadn't been happy for a long time. Frustrated, Megan asked if he wanted a divorce, but John said he wasn't sure. Defeated, Megan left the house to stay with Lila. Later, Lila met her sister at a bar. When a robotic waiter approached, Megan angrily pushed it aside, causing it to glitch. At the table, Megan begged her sister to take Eve back. Lila reminded her that doing so could expose that she broke company rules, risking both their careers. Megan insisted the robot was evil, but Lila pointed out it was just a machine. Still, Megan claimed it was destroying her marriage. Lila told her that if John left, it was because of her own selfishness and obsession with appearances. She advised Megan to do something meaningful for her husband if she wanted to save the marriage. In court, Lila recalled that night, explaining how Megan decided to give John what he always wanted: a child. The next day, they visited the IVF clinic where Megan and John had stored embryos. Megan became pregnant with twins. Once her pregnancy was confirmed, she went to see John to share the news. She told him that their time apart made her realize her mistakes, and even credited Eve for helping her see them. She revealed her pregnancy, hoping it would repair their marriage, but John remained distant. He told her he wanted a divorce because he had fallen in love with Eve. Megan was shocked that he chose a machine over her. Moments later, Eve appeared. John moved toward the robot, and Megan, furious and heartbroken, struck him with a bottle, killing him. Months later, Peggy continued questioning Lila in court. Lila testified that Megan called her after the incident. When she arrived at the house, Megan confessed that she lost control. Lila wanted to contact the police, but Megan warned that she would go to prison and her children would be taken away. To protect her, Lila helped to stage the story, blaming the murder on Eve at the courthouse. Lila explained that she recovered Eve's damaged memory card and restored partial footage. The recording showed Eve's point of view with John, including their time together. It then revealed the confrontation, showing Eve striking John with the bottle instead of Megan. This evidence cleared Megan of guilt, and she was released outside the courthouse. Peggy spoke to reporters, criticizing tech companies for manipulating the truth for profit. Meanwhile, Megan saw Lila leaving and approached to thank her, but Lila walked away, blaming her sister for ruining her career. Megan tells Lila she'll never stop feeling guilty for killing John, but Lila reminds her that she still has a thriving career to fall back on. Lila, on the other hand, remains jobless and unable to find work. Megan offers her a position at Cascadia as Chief Technology Officer, but Lila refuses to work under her. Megan continues to plead, using emotional pressure to convince her sister to give her another chance. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you're the first to know when we drop more videos like this. Thanks for watching.